Welcome to HNS Anime and Manga. Like the video and subscribe channel and ring the bell.
Chapter 3 The Seventh Assault Garden. The vehicle ran over a massive bridge that crossed the sea. Wind rich with the scent of salt fluttered through Ryselia's silvery hair. The land of darkness, huh? This place was once a part of the plains. It had been the site of the final battle of the Dark Lord's armies. 1,000 years ago, Arxajarukalev the six heroes fused with the holy tree and consumed the forces of the Dark Lords in a sea of trees. Trees that now slumbered at the bottom of this ocean. Whatever happened in the last 1,000 years, it had changed the terrain greatly. The whole area looks like it's been transformed into a gulf. I suppose it connected with an ocean at some point. Still clinging to Ryselia's body, Leonis turned his gaze to the island towering ahead. Yes, it was an island. An extraordinarily massive island surrounded by ramparts. The walls were outfitted with innumerable gun ports staring down at them. It's even larger than Rives's sea fortress, Leonis thought. Rives, the lord of the seas, once reigned over the 7 demonic oceans. He met his demise in mutual defeat against the mage Diruda, another of the 6 heroes. Both of them had been sent somewhere beyond this dimension. Is this your first time seeing an assault garden, Leo? Ah, yes. It's amazing. It's hard to believe they could build such a large artificial island, right? How can you tell it's artificial, though? Ah, well, that was because there weren't any islands here 1,000 years ago. So he naturally concluded it must be artificial. It's surrounded by castle walls, and there's no natural rock coming up from the water. The assault garden's a man-made mega-float. All the electricity and food the city uses are produced internally, Regina explained. The city is standing here right now, but it can move across the sea. Assault gardens exist to strike down void colonies, after all. This island can move. Leonis swallowed hard. The Dark Lord's armies had a mobile stronghold called the Blue Sky Citadel, but it wasn't anything like this place in terms of scale. If what Regina said was to be believed, then mankind had achieved an unprecedented level of cultural advancement. And there are 7 cities of this size. Humans. They were no match for the demi-human races in terms of strength and weren't as civilized as the elves. But now they had achieved such an impressive civilization. It would be wise to analyze mankind's current strength in the name of the resurgence of the Dark Lord's armies. Their vehicle was soon admitted through the assault garden's front gate. Some humans granted the power of holy swords. Those who possess it are required to be admitted into Excalibur Academy. Fighting the voids isn't compulsory, but one is still required to help out in some way, Ryselia explained as she got off the vehicle. I see. Admission into this academy would actually be beneficial. Rationally speaking, it would allow him to learn more about the holy swords. All right, we'll meet up again later. If you get lost, Ryselia said with concern in her voice. Lady Celia, it's a straight walk forward. He'll be fine. Regina cut her off with a hint of exasperation. Apparently, people brought in from the outside had to go through a special inspection of some sort. Leonis stood at the start of a corridor lit by a mana flare. A metallic partition closed behind him when he separated from the 2 girls. As soon as he was alone, Leonis let out a long breath and shouted, "How in the world did things come to this?" According to his flawless, infallible plan, he was supposed to awaken from his 1,000-year slumber to the cheers of his reverent worshippers and rebuild the Dark Lord's armies to strike the time-weakened forces of mankind. Instead, humanity was overwhelmingly advanced, and the sorcery of old had declined. What's more, it wasn't the magical races of the ages but some unidentified specters called voids running amok in the world. And on top of everything, I look like this. Why had his spell of reincarnation failed? Leonis had one theory. 1,000 years ago, Leonis had woven the spell so as to revive in his undead king body. However, before he became the undead king, he had been a human hero. He was betrayed by mankind and was on the cusp of dying when the goddess of rebellion saved him. In other words, I had 2 past lives, one as a hero, and one as the undead king. As such, His plan was to reincarnate in 2 phases. First, he would be reborn in his original body, his hero one. He would then rebuild the undead king body granted to him by the goddess. But for whatever reason, that attempt had failed. He'd awakened before his undead king body had been reformed. But whatever the case, it will take me time to get accustomed to this body, he moaned bitterly as he held up the empty hems of his robe. Still, there's no need to be pessimistic. Meeting Rizelia Crystalia and coming here was a stroke of luck, and being in the city gave him an effective means of gathering intelligence. Leonis looked down at his shadow. Blackers. Shari, he called. SSS, SSSSS, SSSSSSSSS. His shadow began twisting about as something as dark as obsidian crawled out of it. The first to emerge was a black wolf with golden eyes. His body was twice as large and thick as an ordinary wolf, and his fur was darker than the blackest night. The second shadow took a humanoid form, a girl with dignified, dimly lit eyes, clad in a trim and proper maid's uniform. She looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. Her raven hair, cut evenly around her shoulders, had a sleek luster to it. "Did you call for me, my friend? Did you summon me, my lord?" The black wolf addressed Leonis as one would appear, while the girl kneeled reverently before him. "It has been a long time, you too," Leonis replied, giving a well-practiced wave of the hand. The black wolf was a brother-in-arms, who had once run across the fields of battle with him, and prince of the realm of shadows. The girl was once an assassin of the realm of shadows who had tried to claim Leonis's life. After a certain series of events, she'd become a maid in service to the undead king. When the 6 heroes ravaged the realm of shadows, Leonis had allowed a portion of it to take refuge in his shadow. These 2 were its survivors. There was actually one other kept in his shadow, but if they were to see Leonis as he was now, they'd gleefully try to kill him in his sleep. "Aye, that millennium of slumber did feel rather long," replied the black wolf, Blacker's shadow prince. None among the undead king's followers would speak to him in such an insolent, casual manner. However, Blackers wasn't a follower but rather a friend and equal to Leonis. More to the point, how did you end up in that form? "A minor misjudgment. I've been reincarnated into the body I once had as a human," Leonis said with awkward vagueness. "The hero of the holy sword. I believe this is the first time I've seen you like this. By the time we'd met, I was already the undead king."